All right, guys, today is day 32. We are going to be doing the Gizmo Lab and the Enzyme Foldable today, and it is the 4th and 5th of December. I do have the Mindfulness Minute for you to pause. Go ahead and play that video there. Then indicate kind of how you're feeling. Take a moment, reflect. How are you actually feeling today? All right, couple of quick reminders. Supposed to be in uniform with your ID. You are supposed to be in class on time, and you are not supposed to be leaving class without a pass. All right, we are here. We're going to do our enzyme foldable today and begin our Gizmo lab on enzymes. Next class, you're going to finish up that Gizmo lab, and on the 8th and 11th, we do have our quiz for biochemistry. All right, so for our warm-up, it asks, what do we call the molecules that go into an enzyme before the reaction starts? So if we think back to last class and our last pear deck, remember our enzymes have a certain shape, and we have some things that go into the enzyme, and the enzyme can then either take two things and put them together, or take one thing and snap it apart. So the name we give to the things that go into the enzyme is substrate. So substrate is the fancy science word for kind of the ingredients for a reaction. Okay, so those are our substrates. All right, here are our key ideas today. So when we talk about enzymes, enzymes are a catalyst. A catalyst is something that speeds up a reaction, allows it to happen faster. Now, with our enzymes, they are also made out of protein. So there are catalysts that are things like iron, oxygen, that cause reactions to happen faster. And then we have catalysts that are made out of protein. And if they're made out of protein, we specifically call them an enzyme. Now, enzymes, they are the catalysts that living creatures use. Okay, so all living creatures use enzymes as their primary catalyst. So there are two things that can mess up whether or not an enzyme is going to work. Number one, temperature. If it gets too hot, that protein can melt. And if the protein melts, it's not the right shape. It can't work. Number two, if it gets too cold. When it gets cold, molecules don't move as much. The reaction slows down to a stop. We don't see any reaction. All right, so the other thing that can mess up enzymes is the pH. So remember, last class we did our foldable in the class period before, you did an activity looking at pH, and pH is just the charges. It's our scale that we use to measure if it's a positive or negative solution. Well, all of our amino acids, and remember to our macromolecules, amino acids make proteins. All of our amino acids either have a plus, a minus, or a neutral charge. If our pH is off, the way that protein folds changes, and it actually kind of flips inside out, almost like a pillow pet or those little octopuses that you can flip inside out where they're smiley or grouchy. But they go through and they change their fold. They kind of twist and are denatured. They are kind of warped if they're in the wrong pH. And this makes them not work as well. All right, so the first thing I am going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you log into Gizmos. So now in Gizmos, remember you want to go to the go-el. Let me... All right, I can't figure out how to switch this while I'm doing the screencast. So you go to the go-el. You're going to click sign in as a student. So it should just have a spot to put the teacher's username. My teacher username is Vega Bio. You're then going to pick the class from the list. And for 1A, it's class 113. 1B is 122. They both all have the long class code, and that it's biology, and at the end it has the actual individual class numbers. When you click on your class, it should have everybody in the class's name. You're going to click on your name and then type in your password. Now, your password was on that quarter sheet that you got from when we used Gizmos the last time for the macromolecules virtual lab. I am going to print out a roster with the Gizmos passwords that you can have up at the front in case you have misplaced that quarter sheet. Now, once you do that, you are going to go and you'll be in your Gizmos platform. And then the Gizmo you want to click on today is the Enzymes case study. So you're going to click on that Enzymes case study and you are going to work through that case study. Now, if at any point you get stuck, I did screencast the entire Gizmo walking through. Now, it records your answers as you go. You don't need to record them separately on the Pear Deck. It actually is going to ask you questions as you go. Don't stress over getting it incorrect or correct, because if you get them incorrect, it kind of just loops you around, kind of like the MapR tests, where it asks you the questions again. So do pay attention, do read if you got it incorrect, like what the right answer is supposed to be, because it does kind of loop you through and ask similar questions multiple ways to make sure you understand the concept. Okay, so that is with our gizmos. Now, when I get my class to a point where they're working independently, I am going to come over to work on the Enzyme Foldable with you guys. For that Enzyme Foldable, it is going to be a half sheet. You're going to cut the edges off and fold them in. And then you're just going to basically make the outside look like this. I have most of this on the copy. You're just going to add that enzymes can make molecules, and then you're going to color them in. And then we are going to, on the inside, redraw our enzymes. So on the top, it started out as two pieces. Now we're going to draw those two pieces joined together. On the bottom, it started out as two pieces. We're going to show those two pieces actually split apart. And then we are going to write in on the left and right hand side so it looks like this. Remember, I have examples up at the front and I have the directions up here of exactly what to write where. All right, our exit question here is just, what do we call the molecules that come out of the enzyme when the reaction is all the way done? So once we have our enzyme and it's gotten its substrate that went into the enzyme then does its thing. And when it releases the end product, it's called a product. So that is our result, is called the product. So substrate comes in, product is what leaves. All right, guys, that is it for our lesson number 32.